conversation. This is basically a few quick fire questions, but from our Sports Online MVT community that they would like to ask you directly. I'd like to start off with this question. This one comes through from Rachel, and she simply says, what do you wish for South African netball?
Oh man, I can't wait for the day that our netball goes fully professional, where our players, managers, officials, coaches can make a living just playing netball. Currently, our players, and everyone involved in the code has to balance. You're balancing your studies and netball. You're balancing your work and netball. So, countries like Australia, New Zealand, England, the players are able to just focus on netball, and that is why they do so well. They're able to focus on just netball and make a living from that and don't have to worry about anything else. So my one wish, my biggest wish, I think I also know the federation, is working towards that, just to have the code professional like we have cricket, rugby and soccer in the country.
Definitely. Let's tackle this one that comes through from Nikki. She says, what does women's leadership in sport mean to you?
Women's leadership in sport, for me, means I don't have to do it like the men do it. I can go in there. Yes, it's a male-dominated industry, but we can do it our own way, because we'll never be men, so we'll never be able to lead sports the way they do. So we need to come in there with our own uniqueness, our own mindset, our own style of leadership, and do things like females. Also, we need to also understand that when you get into a leadership position, I mean, currently where I'm working, I'm the only female on the management committee. And my question when I first got to the university was always, so who speaks for the females? Because if I don't see anyone that looks like me in management, I'm going to ask myself, who speaks for my needs? Who speaks for females? And I think it's important for us as females to always raise our hands and want to lead and break barriers and say, listen, who's speaking for us? So for me, it's become, again, added responsibility on Dumisani Chauke to go out there and be a voice for our females, be a voice for young female athletes, because there are certain things that men won't know about us. I mean, you go to a sports facility and you'll find that there are no dressers, there is no hairdryer. The mirror is nowhere close to the bathroom or nowhere close to where you can put stuff. So a female will automatically think, okay, I need a hairdryer, I need a counter for cosmetics, makeup, I need a mirror close, so those kind of things. We might see it as, I know it's small things. It's not small things. Because me as a female coming into an environment that's like that, I'm automatically going to think, but you're not even thinking about my needs. Hence, I'm saying, as women, we need to get in there and speak for women's needs and fight for women's rights and fight and make sure that our voices are heard too. We need to take part and participate in decision making that affects our livelihoods and our sport. And until we get more females in leadership, we'll still be having the conversation and the fights about, no, we need more women in sport, more women in sport. No, we need, sometimes they won't really give it to us. Also, we know your gender, right? We take it. We're like, listen, we are here. We also want our sport at this table. We want to make decisions that affect us. So women in sport, for me, leadership is just about making your voice heard and being unapologetic about it. Yes, they'll call you difficult. It's okay. They'll call you stubborn. It's okay. They'll call you emotional. You're a woman. It's okay. But I'm still here.
Oh, beautiful. I love it. Love your energy and those powerful words as well. Let's focus a little bit on varsity netball. Olebogeng sent through this question. She says, why is varsity netball a key tournament and a key platform for student athletes?
Well, remember there's a pathway from, so if we're going to put it in school terms, pathway from kindergarten, primary school, high school, varsity, provincial, and then ending up in the national part of things. So varsity plays a very important chain. It connects the province and the national to the schools. So the moment kids leave school, they need to go into a certain system, and that's where varsity netball comes in. Because if they don't go into a university and play university sports, we lose them. Because our club structure is not that strong. So if you look at whether it's rugby or netball, especially netball, the most active clubs are the university-based clubs. Sorry, let me take my phone off.
No problem.
Are the university-based clubs, right? And it then becomes a breeding ground for provincial teams, breeding ground for us on the national level to be able to select players. And also remember, universities in South Africa are the ones that have and host high performance centers. So we need these athletes to be training at a high performance intensity. So it's advisable for them to stay in such a system that we're able to monitor them, they're able to train, and then they come through that system. And also remember, also part of the system that I'm going to talk about is where we start with, grassroots. From grassroots, we go to mass participation. From mass participation, then we move over to competitive sport. From competitive sport, you can move to high performance elite. So varsity sport forms part of that chain. And if we don't have it, we lose a lot of players.
Definitely. You mentioned her earlier, and I would love to talk a little bit about her. Now, this question comes through from Niku, and Niku talks about Norma Plummer. You've worked with her previously as well. She says, pardon me, he says, what are your words of gratitude to Norma Plummer?
One thing that she taught me and still tells me this day is I need to be confident in my coaching style, because it's important for me to understand that I'm different and I don't have to be like anyone else. And she always encourages me to stay me. Don't lose my personality. I mustn't lose my personality. I mustn't lose my energy. I mustn't lose, the passion that I have for the sport. And I must just be confident in my coaching style and not try, because everyone is always trying to be like someone else. And she says, one thing about me is that I'm different and I must stay that way. And I really appreciate that from her. I do have conversations with her from time to time, and she does come to South Africa from time to time. So I'm able to still, listen and absorb all the pearls of wisdom that she shares with us every time she's around.
Oh, absolutely beautiful. Let's end off with this question. What are your words of encouragement, your words of support to a young lady who's listening to your voice right now, who's interested in the sport of netball, either as a player or possibly as a coach, as an administrator? What would you say to this young lady?
Yeah, to anyone listening to this scruffy voice, good luck hearing what I'm saying. No, man. Okay, just to end off, one thing, when I look back on my life that I always try to share with other people is don't ever put a ceiling on yourself. Don't ever look at your dreams, your big dreams, and think that they're ridiculous. Anything is possible. Look at me. I'm a young skinny, well, used to be skinny. I'm a young kid from the small township of Malamulele in Limpopo. I had big dreams back then. I still have big dreams right now, but I was able to stay focused and say, listen, crazy as these dreams may be, whether it's being on TV as a player, as a coach, as whatever, being a beam of hope to other people, inspiring other people through the work that I do through the sports, I was able to achieve those things, and I worked hard to get to where I am today. And I'd like to encourage anyone listening to me, if you have a dream, hold on to it. It doesn't have to make sense to people around you. If it makes sense to you, there's a reason why God gave it to you. And work your ass off. You will get it. It will come. And sometimes you might need to adjust the timelines. You might need to adjust, how you go about it, but you never change the goal. You can change everything else, but the goal remains, and you stay focused. You'll get there.
Wow. Absolutely beautiful. Dumisani Chauke, thank you so much for joining us on the Sports Mvt Insider. Thank you so much for the contribution that you've made to South African netball as a player, now as a coach, as an analyst as well. Thank you so much. We absolutely love hearing your voice. And I think most importantly, the most important contribution that we are so excited for is, of course, next year with the 2023 Netball World Cup. And I'm certain that the ladies will lift that trophy right here on South African soil. Thank you so much for joining us.
No, thank you for having me. All the best with the rest of the show. And thank you to whoever will be listening to this.
Beautiful.
You're locked on to the Sport Mvt Insider, a podcast for unrelenting coverage of women in sport. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I absolutely loved diving deeper into the journeys of our athletes, coaches, and administrators to get to know them a little bit better than we do. Coming up next week, we bring you another athlete, coach, or administrator, and she shares her incredible and inspiring journey with us. Keep it locked onto Sport Mvt, where we celebrate women in sport.